Here's a cold, hard truth that most men refuse to face. The moment you stop showing her that you value her, she'll walk away. And the crazy part, you won't even see it coming. Why? Because you'll be too busy thinking that you have all the time in the world, that she'll always be there. Well, guess what? She won't. And when she finally decides to walk away, you'll be left asking, what happened? Here's the issue. Most men take their relationships for granted. They think that just because she's still there, everything's fine. They think that being passive, not putting in effort, or taking her for granted won't lead to anything negative. But deep down, women crave real connection. They don't just want to be an option in your life, they want to feel valued, desired, and respected. Here's a mind-blowing fact for you. Women are not going to wait forever for you to get your act together. They might stick around for a while, but when they feel that emotional distance, when they see you taking them for granted, when your actions say that you're not prioritizing them, they will eventually leave. And here's the kicker. They'll walk away thinking that you didn't care enough to notice or change. They'll think that you were never really invested. Too many men get comfortable and lazy in relationships, assuming that they'll never have to try harder. But women don't work like that. They need to feel wanted, special, and not like an afterthought. And when you fail to give them that, don't be surprised when they start fading away. It's time to wake up. Stop living under the illusion that things will just magically fall into place without effort. Your relationship is not a one-way street. If you don't step up, don't be shocked when they decide to walk away. They'll think that they deserve more, and honestly, they do. 1. You think she'll always be there, but she won't. Here's the harsh reality. You're not the only man in her life. She's got options too, and if you're not careful, you'll lose her without even realizing it. Most men fall into the trap of assuming that a woman will always be there. After all, she's been there for months, maybe even years, right? But that's a dangerous mindset. The truth is, she's not going to wait forever for you to wake up. Let's get one thing clear. Just because she hasn't walked away yet, doesn't mean she's not planning to. Women are incredibly patient, but they're also incredibly smart. They can sense when you're taking them for granted. They can feel when you've stopped making an effort, when you're no longer emotionally invested. And while you might think everything's fine, they're thinking about the long term. If they don't feel prioritized, they'll start pulling away. It's easy to think that just because she's still there, you don't have to do anything extra. But relationships are like plants. They need attention, care, and effort to thrive. If you stop watering them, they'll wither and eventually they'll die. And you know what? When that happens, don't expect her to stick around just because you've been comfortable. She'll walk away and think that you didn't care enough to put in the effort to keep her. Take a look at the relationships around you. How many men have been left behind, wondering what went wrong? They were too busy taking her presence for granted. They thought everything was fine, as long as she didn't leave. But the truth is, she was emotionally checked out long before the breakup actually happened. She won't always be there. At some point, if she doesn't feel valued, she'll walk away. And the worst part is, she'll think that you never cared enough to keep her. Now is the time to stop taking her for granted. Stop assuming she'll always be around. Show her every day that you value her and that you're ready to fight for the relationship. If you don't, you'll soon realize that she's not sticking around just because you think she will. Your actions speak louder than your assumptions. 2. Taking her for granted is a shortcut to heartbreak. It's easy to get comfortable in a relationship, especially when things are going smoothly. But taking her for granted is one of the fastest ways to guarantee heartbreak. Why? Because it signals that you've stopped valuing her, her time, and the effort she's putting into the relationship. And let's be honest, no one wants to feel like they're just an option. In the beginning, you might have done everything right. Took her out, listened to her, made her feel special. But over time, it's all too common for men to ease up. They think, she's still here. I've got this. But what they don't realize is that relationships aren't about just maintaining status quo. They're about growth, effort, and mutual respect. Taking her for granted isn't just about forgetting the little things like compliments or acts of kindness. It's deeper than that. It's about stopping to appreciate the person who's choosing to be with you every day. It's easy to forget how much effort she's putting into the relationship when you're used to her being there. But her needs and emotions are just as important as yours. When you don't acknowledge her efforts, when you stop showing that you're thankful for her presence, it's like you're telling her she doesn't matter anymore. And here's the kicker. She'll start feeling unimportant, undervalued, and eventually, she'll leave. Here's something most men don't want to admit. You're not the only one in her life who can make her feel good. She has friends, family, and even other people who can fill the emotional void. If you're not meeting her emotional needs, eventually, someone else will. But it's not just about another man. It's about her needing emotional fulfillment. And if you're not giving it to her, she'll go somewhere else to get it. Whether that's emotionally distancing herself from you or walking away completely. So, what do? Start showing her that you still care. Appreciate her every day. Make sure she feels heard, respected, and wanted. Stop assuming that she'll just understand and stick around. If you keep taking her for granted, don't be surprised when she's the one walking away and you're the one left heartbroken. 3. She needs to feel valued, not just available. Here's a truth that a lot of men overlook. Just being around or available isn't enough. You might think that your presence is all she needs, that showing up and being physically there is enough to keep her happy. But that couldn't be further from the truth. She needs to feel valued, not just that she's filling space in your life when it's convenient for you. A lot of men get comfortable and assume that as long as they're there when needed, everything is fine. But think about it. How would you feel if you were constantly there for someone, only for them to treat you like an afterthought? She wants to feel like more than just an option. She wants to know that she matters to you, that she's not just someone you call when it's easy, but someone you choose to prioritize. The problem is, many men get caught in a cycle where they don't put in the effort to make her feel special anymore. They stop showing appreciation, they stop actively listening, and they stop making her feel like she's an essential part of their life. Instead of seeing her as someone to cherish, they begin to see her as just a backup plan or a convenient option. This isn't just about buying gifts or saying the right words. It's about making her feel emotionally supported, respected, and loved. It's about being present for her, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. If you only show up when it's convenient or when you need something, you'll make her feel like a placeholder, not someone worth investing in. She doesn't want to feel like she's just available when you have time for her. She wants to know that she's someone you think about, someone you actively choose to spend your energy on. Being available is easy. Making her feel valued requires consistent effort and attention. When you don't make her feel like she's worth your time and effort, don't be surprised when she starts pulling away. So, what does this mean? It means that you need to show her every day that she's more than just there in your life. She deserves to be recognized, to feel that she's a priority, and to know that her place in your life is not just by default, but because you've actively chosen it. When you stop seeing her as just someone to pass time with and start seeing her as someone you truly value, your connection will grow stronger. 4. Your silence and inaction. Speak louder than words. Let's be honest for a second. If you think you can keep things in a relationship stable by saying nothing and doing nothing, you're fooling yourself. Silence isn't some kind of tool to maintain peace or keep things mysterious. It's a red flag. It's a sign that you're emotionally checked out, that you've stopped putting in the effort, and that you're waiting for things to just sort themselves out. But here's the harsh truth. Silence and inaction only drive her away. Men often think that by keeping quiet or avoiding difficult conversations, they're doing the right thing. They think, if I don't say anything, maybe she'll figure it out on her own. Or, I don't need to do anything. She should know I care. But here's the catch. She won't know unless you show it. Words are important, sure, but actions speak louder. And if you're not taking action or communicating clearly, she starts to feel ignored, unimportant, and disconnected. Your silence isn't a sign of strength. It's not mysterious or attractive. It's a sign that you're not dealing with issues, that you're avoiding problems instead of addressing them. And here's the problem with that. Avoiding things doesn't make them go away. It just piles up until the problem becomes bigger than it ever needed to be. Inaction can be just as damaging. The truth is, relationships need effort. They need consistency, care, and action. If you stop showing up emotionally, stop being there when it matters, or stop being active in her life, you're essentially telling her that she doesn't matter. If you think you can play it cool and not show emotion, then wake up. She's not going to wait around for you to start acting like you care. Now, let me be clear. This doesn't mean you need to flood her with constant attention. It doesn't mean you need to chase her down or beg for her affection. But it does mean you need to be present. Speak up when there's something on your mind. Show her you care through your actions. If she's upset, talk it through. If you're happy with her, let her know. Silence doesn't create connection. It destroys it. If you want a strong, lasting relationship, you can't afford to be passive. You need to be proactive. Your silence and inaction will not keep her interested. If you don't speak up and act on your feelings, you'll be the one left wondering where she went. 5. When she walks away, it's too late to fix things. Here's the reality that most men don't want to hear. Once she walks away, it's often too late to fix things. By the time she's had enough and decides to leave, the emotional damage has already been done. You can't just expect to turn everything around with a last-minute apology or a grand gesture. It's easy to think that you can always fix things later. But in truth, you're running out of time the moment she starts pulling away. You might not realize it, but she's probably been checking out long before she actually leaves. Women are more emotionally intuitive than most men give them credit for. They pick up on the small signs, your lack of attention, the silence, the distance, and it chips away at her trust and emotional connection over time. While you're still caught up in the idea that everything is fine, she's already started making decisions about whether she wants to stay in the relationship or not. And by the time she finally walks away, it's a decision she's already thought about deeply. Men often think, I'll fix it tomorrow, or she'll understand that I've been busy. The truth is, she doesn't need another excuse or more promises. What she needs is action. When she feels unappreciated, ignored, or emotionally neglected, it's not something that can be fixed with a couple of sweet words. By the time she's at the point of walking away, she's already invested a lot of emotional energy into the relationship. And if she doesn't see things changing, she knows it's time to go. If you think you can keep getting away with being passive, assuming she'll always stick around, think again. When she walks away, the window to make things right is often closed. You'll realize that your excuses don't matter anymore, that your inaction has built up and pushed her away. Regret will flood in, and you'll find yourself scrambling to undo what could have been avoided if you'd just paid attention earlier. Here's the hard truth. You don't get infinite chances to make her feel valued and loved. The key is to stop waiting until it's too late. Make sure she knows every day that you care, that you're putting in the effort, and that you're actively choosing her. Because when she walks away, no amount of words or last-minute changes will bring her back. Here's the most controversial thing I'm going to tell you. If she walks away, it's your fault. I know that's hard to hear, but let's be real. Every time she feels neglected, undervalued, or ignored, you've allowed that to happen. Relationships don't fall apart by accident. They break down because of consistent inattention, inaction, and failure to show up. You can't expect her to stick around forever while you sit back and do nothing. At some point, she'll make the decision to walk away. And when she does, it's often too late for you to fix things. So, if you're tired of hearing the "why did she leave me" story, It's time to make a change. Stop assuming you have infinite time and start acting now. Relationships require effort, and it's time you started putting in the work. If you've experienced this, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below about a time when you thought everything was fine, only to realize she was already planning to walk away. I'll personally reach out, and we can talk about how to avoid making the same mistake again. Don't wait until it's too late. Let's start the conversation today.